Before we get started, if you're enjoying this content, you can do us a favor by subscribing to our YouTube channel and ringing the bell. That'll let the algorithm know that you like this content and it will help us produce more.
Anybody these days can take master classes by listening to a podcast like this.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and today we're welcoming to the show the CEO of LowTides Ocean Products, Brenton Hutchinson.
Hey, Chase. Very nice to meet you. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. I'm excited to chat, a fellow lover of the beaches. For those that don't know about the brand, can you quickly let us know kind of the products that you guys are bringing to market?
Sure. So we are going into our third season of production right now. We are the first of its kind beach chair company that has created beach chairs from upcycled ocean plastics. So essentially, we take upcycled plastic from the environment and reuse that to make beach chairs.
Absolutely. So where did this idea come from?
Yeah, and so we growing up at the Jersey Shore, I've spent literally my last 38 years heading down to Sea Isle City, New Jersey. So we have ingrained in us a love for the beach and all things ocean and bay. And it sounds very cliche, very corny, but I was actually reading a National Geographic magazine, Memorial Day weekend, I think 4 summers ago now. And I happened to pick up the Nat Geo on my parents' coffee table. And it is the now infamous or famous cover of a plastic bag coming out of the ocean, kind of mimicking an iceberg. And at that time, I had some idea about, the issues with plastic in the environment and pollution, but never really gave it a second thought. That afternoon, I happened to open up the article, read, and understand what plastics were doing to not only our environment, but specifically our oceans, and how, the plastic that's in the ocean is getting digested by our fish and even our birds, and how that's creating issues with a lot of different chains as far as food or whatever. But I took that reading that article, and I spent some time that weekend kind of thinking about, this is an issue. How do we go about fixing it? And I had been introduced to Ecom a little bit through my dad, who had just wrote a book and was selling it online, and he was coming back and saying, "Hey, I just sold some books today, and this is nice and easy." I sold through Amazon, and I'm thinking, man, it'd be great to have that passive income, right? I can hang out on the beach and sell a product while I'm relaxing. I was already in rentals as far as real estate. It's kind of my background. So I have some rental property. So I'm all about passive income. And I started thinking about the problem being plastic in our oceans. How do we fix that? Well, what if we took that plastic that's in the environment, take it out, and make something with it? Well, what is that product? And I started kind of thinking of, brainstorming literally on the beach, clothes, hats, balls. And I looked down, it happened to be a gorgeous Memorial Day weekend, and I saw thousands and thousands of beach chairs. And I thought about the fact that, my beach chair that I've had for the last 5 years had a hole in the armrest where I couldn't put my drink anymore because the cup holder fell out. And I think I had flowers that really didn't appeal to me. It was just, a purchase because that's all there was. So problem, solution, taking plastic out of the environment, making a chair out of it, but then making it cool and relevant and a piece of our personalities. So that weekend, the idea was born. I pitched it to some friends and family that night on the deck after a couple of drinks, and it was getting some traction. So I started the process literally that following week.
Awesome. So how long does that process take from like ideation to your first sample?
A long time. I am. I come from real estate, commercial real estate, which I still work in today. So I have zero idea or background in manufacturing. Manufacturing, bringing a product to market, manufacturing overseas, the marketing that goes into it. So the first task was finding essentially an engineer to build the product, which, I never knew how hard it was to do that. Now I would have, 3 years later, I would have searched industrial designer and probably would have saved myself a year and a lot of money. But at that point, I took it to a bring your idea to life type of company, which was a bad idea, by the way, because then weren't specialists in that type of production. So I want to say a good year before we had some sort of working sample, and we introduced it to Kickstarter. And it was a really, really frustrating process, a big learning curve for me. But I can tell you that I was happy I was gone through it, because right now we have a product that I feel is worth the money that a customer would pay for it, and something I can be proud of.
It's always such a journey to kind of build these things. And how about, I'm curious, the sourcing the plastic and that whole process. I'm assuming that made it a little more difficult.
Very. Again, you come up with these ideas, and you're like, how hard can it be to A, build a beach chair, but B, find this plastic, right? Everybody's got to be pulling this plastic out of the environment. You have the Four Oceans guys that, are building bracelets with their stuff. So it took me probably about 9 months and a trip to Mexico to find the plastic that we ended up using in our first season of chairs. I personally traveled to Mexico to visit the sites where the collections were taking place and where they were breaking down that plastic into pellets that you can reuse. I felt it was important not just to sell this plastic as part of the marketing. The message, but I needed to know where it came from. I didn't want to be in a position where down the road somebody says, "Hey, that's not necessarily what you're selling." So, and this stuff, that type of product is not. You can't just Google it and pick it up at your Home Depot or anything to that effect. It was tough sourcing. Since then, it's gotten harder as a problem has become much more public, and there's a lot of groups out there. Most people know about the problems with plastic in our ocean now, so it's become a little easier. But when I started the process, I think there was one company in the entire world that I probably found that was able to get me what I needed.
Absolutely. So you've got this product, and you alluded to this a bit earlier, and you launched on Kickstarter. Can you share a little bit about how that journey went?
Yes. So Kickstarter was a big learning experience. In hindsight, what came of it was a brand. Like I figured out how to build a brand, build a website, create an email funnel. I learned social ads and spending and how that all kind of comes together. In hindsight, I would have not done it again. It was a really bad experience for us. I quickly realized that the demographic that Kickstarter caters to is not our demographic. So we had these grandiose ideas that we were going to hit, our 30 days, and we were going to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. We set a low goal. We did everything right. I mean, we went into production of a video. We spent a lot of money on social. But our demo being women 35 to 65, think about it, who buy beach chairs for their family, their husbands, their kids. They don't know what the heck Kickstarter is. So when we would have conversations with family and friends that, hey, go on Kickstarter, they didn't understand the whole process of, well, yeah, you pay for a product, but you don't get it right away. It goes into production, and then you're probably going to get it a year later. You're essentially, hoping and working with the company to make a product come to life. So at the end of the day, again, a lot of came from it. So I'm grateful for that. We did hit our goal. barely. It was like $30,000. It was really it's embarrassing now that I think back on it, but it was a great learning experience. Would I do it again? No, but that's because that's my product. Somebody that maybe caters to a different type of market or demo might have, and I know there's companies out there and groups that have a ton of success.
Absolutely. So once you learned who your demo actually was, and this is probably post Kickstarter, how did you find those customers and kind of scale the business?
Yeah. So one common misconception I had was, I create a website, I put it online, and they will come, right? It's like it's crazy to think that I actually had that idea at one point. Like, hey, I'll just put these beach chairs up. Obviously, people are going to love them and they're going to buy them. And there's, I learned that through very strategic marketing is how you find your customers. And my co-founder, who happens to also be my sister, who has spent a lot of time, the same amount of time with me at the Jersey Shore. So she has the same love. She is all things marketing, and we are heavily involved with social and influencers and local type shops that kind of speak to that demo, those boutique type retailers now that have the women coming in on a daily basis. They see our brand online. They either can buy it online or now in retail. We're in our second season of retail. So it was important to get the mommy influencers, the ones, because we sell kids chairs as well. So you can imagine the visuals, a kid in a beach chair, a good looking beach chair, a good looking little kid. It kind of lends itself to some easier marketing. But we also developed a really strong email distribution list that isn't full of fake emails. We spend some money to make sure that we're trying to get that segment of the market into our funnel so that we can consistently give them, updates or products to buy.
If you're struggling with scaling your sales, maybe Electric Eye can help. Our team has helped our clients generate millions of dollars in additional revenue through our unique brand scaling framework. You can learn more about our agency at electriceye.io. That's ELECTRICEYE.io. Mesa is the easy-to-use answer for automating the everyday challenges of running a Shopify store. Find more aha moments when you're spending less time in the weeds and can focus on the bigger picture. With automations, you have all the power of code without the learning curve. You can easily customize how Shopify and your apps work with one-click integrations. From auto-tagging orders to sending order details to Google Sheets or Airtable, Mesa connects your data where it's needed most. To put it quite simply, Mesa is a better way to work. So find your peace of mind and kick up your feet with a simplified workload to manage the everyday stress of running your Shopify store. Search for Mesa, that's MESA, in the Shopify App Store and download the app today. Free plan available with no cost setup included. Q4 is the main event for e-commerce and DTC brands. All those months of preparation, managing inventory, and balancing your cash flow are about to pay off. But how can you use this holiday season as a springboard to make 2023 your best year yet? The answer is funding. Funding opens doors for your business. It enables you to place larger inventory orders, invest more in marketing, and ultimately grow your business. Plus, now is the best time of the year to secure funding as you can unlock the best rates. Revenue-based finance from Wayflyer is fairer, faster, and more flexible than traditional funding options out there. Get approved for funding in hours and cash in your account within days. There's no interest rates or personal guarantees, just one simple fee. Most importantly, you keep full ownership of the rocket ship of a business you've worked so hard to build. To learn more about funding from Wayflyer and how you can unlock growth for your business and turn the main event of Q4 into a record year in 2023, visit wayflyer.com/ecom/honest. That's wayflyer.com/ecom with 2 M's/honest. Wayflyer, funding a better way. Our partner Rewind can protect your e-commerce store by automatically backing up your business critical data. Rewind should be the first app you install to protect your store against human error, misbehaving apps, or collaborators gone bad. It's like having your very own magic undo button. Trusted by over 100,000 businesses, from side hustles to the biggest online retailers like Knix, Paul Mitchell, and Pampers. Best of all, visit rewind.com/honestecommerce to get your first month absolutely free. That's rewind.com/honestecommerce. Getting an online business off the ground isn't easy. So if you find yourself working late, tackling a to-do list that's a mile long with your 5th cup of coffee by your side, remember, great email doesn't have to be complicated. That's what Klaviyo is for. It's the email and SMS platform built to help e-commerce brands earn more money by creating genuine customer relationships. Once you set up your free Klaviyo account, you can start sending beautiful, branded messages in minutes thanks to drag-and-drop design templates and built-in guidance. And with e-commerce specific recommendations and insights, you can keep growing your business as you go. Get started with a free account at klaviyo.com/honest. That's KLAVIYO.com/HONEST. You mentioned that this whole time was kind of like a learning experience, and you've learned a ton about e-commerce and marketing and all of that. Do you have any advice for young entrepreneurs looking to get into this space and learn the how-tos of e-commerce?
Listen to podcasts. I'm dead serious. So I would not be in this position. This company would not be where it's at. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for getting really obsessed with e-commerce podcasts. I mean, I had my undergraduate, I had my MBA. The kids these days, anybody these days can take master classes by listening to a podcast like this, and learn all the ins and outs of how to create that email distribution list, how iOS is going to affect your spend and your targeting, which, by the way, I was listening to one of your episodes earlier, and it's funny now in hindsight, everybody's like, oh yeah, the iOS really, screwed things up. Prior to that, everybody's like, oh, Facebook will figure it out. We'll get around the iOS. Don't worry about it. And then, everybody's world kind of, went down in the first couple of months after that. It's a big learning experience. There's so many facets of e-commerce. Shopify. Right. There's a Shopify podcast out there to kind of learn the ins and outs. If you can find it and afford it, some consultants to work with through the process. If you have friends or family like myself, our CFO is a friend that I've had since high school and college. We brought on a customer service person which by the way is very important, that is younger and loves the brand and has been with us for a few years now. People that believe in your product, you need that mission. You need that to support any type of e-commerce business. Unfortunately, you can't do it by yourself. You got to learn. You got to hope that your team that you're building around you is going to be able to make you successful.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say, that you have an MBA, you went to business school, you learned a lot about business in general, but diving in and starting your own business was kind of eye-opening.
Oh yeah. I mean, I might as well not have gotten my MBA. It's like, I listen to a lot of stories, and people are like, I'm profitable day one. I mean, that sounds like the greatest thing ever, because let's face it, it's very hard to be profitable day one in business. You learn, income, expense, NOI, and sometimes in real estate, in my case, or profit. It's hard. There's a lot of expenses you're not taking into consideration, especially on the e-commerce side. Let's face it, to get eyeballs on your brand these days is very difficult. MBA didn't cover any of that stuff. It certainly didn't cover manufacturing in China during COVID. So again, there's just so many hurdles that get thrown your way that if you're not really committed, if you're not invested, also unfortunately financially, that becomes a big hurdle. You're not going to be able to last very long. So and not to say I've done that, right? It's been a lot of growing pains and a lot of learning. but it's cool. It's you enjoy the smaller successes kind of as they come, so it's worth it.
Absolutely. I see a lot of people in the Twitterverse like telling young entrepreneurs, like, if you're thinking about college or starting a business, you're going to learn more in the 6 months starting a business than you will in the 4 years at college.
Yeah, but you're going to miss out on the experience, right?
Yeah, the college experience was fun.
Yeah, well, listen, my dad told me one thing when I was growing up, a few years ago. I started hiring people for my real estate side of the business, and I kept thinking, well, what's the reason for this college degree, right? I knew people that are very smart and successful that didn't necessarily have a college degree, but he told me one thing which kind of always stuck with me. You can study, I went to a Jesuit school, so it was, I had 3 courses in theology and 3 in philosophy, right? Am I ever going to use that? No. But what a college degree shows people is that they're trained to think and to stick with things and to follow through. So if you're able to do that for 4 years, that would, to me, that's what college is about. You learn to grow up and be mature and start understanding how to think and bring ideas to life and follow through on them. So as far as not going to college, I would certainly do it again. There's no, if I could, but it was a great experience. So I think it's every person, right? I mean, it's everybody has their different preference and ways of learning.
I'm not knocking it at all. And to your point as well, I'd double down on it. Like, people going to college, you also learn interpersonal skills, dealing with people, working on a team, working in groups, working with people that aren't contributing. And then just the entire networking factor of college is infinitely valuable for your life and for business and health and wellness and all of that.
Completely agree. I went to St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. People that I work with joke, says, they say Brent only hires people from St. Joe's, which is not true, but a good contingent of who we're working with on a daily basis are St. Joe's grads, because I know that they came out of a good university. They understand, how to think and learn and grow. And, I think I've had the best of both worlds, to be honest. But it's interesting what podcasts and Audible has done to my life. Never a big reader. Audible has really been a godsend. And then podcasts, man, you can learn anything you want to learn. There's professionals out there talking about it. Absolutely.
So what is coming up for LowTides? What's in the future for the brand?
Sure. So this is our 3rd season of production, we call it. So our 3rd summer we've had product on the market. We have our tall chairs, which come 15 inches off the ground. That are hitting the shores this summer. They actually previously sold out, so we're excited about that. So we have our tall chairs coming online. We're also going to redesign our season 1 and season 2 low chairs and kids chairs. So we'll have that hopefully coming out by the holiday. We're also starting to add accessories to our product. A beach pack to essentially clip onto the beach chair. We're looking at some abilities to attach some shade cover that would attach to your beach chair. And then I think really the sky's the limit from there. There's so many plastic type products that we can incorporate this ocean plastic into and extend the brand. So the goal is to continue continue working and getting into retailers. We're doubling retailers from last year to this year. So a lot of good things happening.
Absolutely. And if I'm interested in these products, where can I find them?
Sure. Our website's LowTidesOP.com. So LowTides OP as in oceanproducts.com, or you can go to our handle on Instagram, which seems to be the best place for a lot of people, is LowTides Ocean is our handle there.
Absolutely. Brenton, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
You got it. Thank you, Chase.
All right. I can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own business. You can find all the links in the show notes. Make sure you head over to honestecommerce.co to check out all of the other amazing content that we have. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and obviously, if you're thinking about growing your business, check out our agency at electriceye.io. Until next time.